All right, so it's happening. It's here. The time is now.
What?
You're far too trusty.
That's right. Everything's actually starting to fall apart. Don't say that you weren't warned. Don't say that we didn't tell you this. We've been warning you for the better part of over a year that this was going to happen. And now people are actually surprised.
Oh my God, the markets continue to go down. When are they going to go back up?
They're not. For a long time. Because you have to understand the market. You have to understand how they work, why this is happening, what events are creating this. This isn't the first time this has happened. This is literally history repeating itself. But you've already known that and you've already heard that. The problem was you let your emotions get involved, right? You let that FOMO and you let everybody else get in your head. It's time to change that. My name's Chris Naugle. This is What Now, What's Next. All right, so now it's happening. It's happening. The markets are going down. We had a 500-point drop just the other day, keeps going down. But every once in a while, you get that little update and people are like, oh my God, it's coming, it's gonna go back up. It's not. It's not. This happens every other time. You should really study the late summer of 1929 if you want to see what's gonna happen next. But actually, if you know anything or remember anything from high school, you would remember what happened. That's right, the Great Depression happened. Oh, but this time's gonna be different. Well, maybe, but probably not. The only maybe in there is that the government and the Fed love to print money. Under modern monetary theory of economics, that's what they do. When there's hard times, when things are rough, they print money. But here's why I call your bluff. If you think the government's gonna save you, you're probably the person that thinks the Fed is actually the government, right? You think the Fed and the government are the same thing? Okay, well, if you're that person, let's just pause. Go back and watch some of my earlier videos, and you should probably subscribe to this channel because we would have already taught you that. You see, the Fed has waged all-out war. If you've been watching the news, you've seen that the Fed is now destroying the markets and destroying the economy by doing two things that are in their full power to do, and that is raise interest rates and unwind their balance sheets, sell off their bonds, mature their bonds in the open market. Now, what do these two things do? Well, one, raising interest rates, I think you already know, don't you? Go try to buy a house right now. What is your 30-year mortgage? That's right, probably in the mid-6s. Where was it last year? Less than half of that. So that's what it does. If you've tried to buy a car lately, oh yeah, that's right, used car rates are way up. How about credit cards? Oh, they've ticked up too. Lines of credit? Yep. You got a home equity line of credit? Yep, that got more expensive. You see, everything gets more expensive. And I'm not talking about inflation, okay? I'm talking about the Fed raising your interest rates. Because when they do that, it makes things more expensive. They're trying to get you to stop buying things. I can't understand why people can't see what they're trying to do. You're spending too much money. You're buying too much shit. Stop. Hell, the bank is trying to help you not spend as much money because the bank isn't even paying you any interest on the money that you're leaving there. You didn't even ask questions about that because, hey, the Fed's raising interest rates, your 30-year mortgage got more expensive, everything got more expensive because they raised the rates, but I think they forgot something. You should actually send them a letter and be like, hey, Fed, yeah. Hey, I'm just wondering, you're raising the interest rates on everything. Can you just raise the interest rates on my savings account? And maybe give me a couple interest rate points on my checking account. That'd be great because you guys are using my money and you're making money on my money, but you're not giving me any. You know why? They don't need your money anymore. They don't want your money anymore. They'll make you think they want your money, but the Fed doesn't want banks lending money out right now because that'll make you go out and spend more money. You want that new car, that new boat. Heck, maybe you're buying that new plane before the 179 deduction ends. The banks are going to make it really difficult for you to get a mortgage, for you to get a loan right now because they don't want to lend money. And they don't want to pay you anything on your interest rate because they don't care if you put more money there. This is a unique time, but it's one you should really pay attention to because until the Fed wins this war. Oh, by the way, they started the war too, right? They printed 5.1 trillion, over 10 trillion since 2008, which then just put a whole bunch of money in the system, gave you a bunch of stimulus checks, a bunch of PPP loans, a bunch of EDIL loans, and you went out there and you did what with that? You spent money. You enjoyed things. You bought assets. Good, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But you created a little bit of a problem. Actually, the Fed created the problem, you just complied. Okay, you just conformed to what they told you to do.
Hey, here's some money. Go spend it, stimulate the economy.
And then the Fed was like,
Whoops, worked pretty good.
and the government's like,
Oh boy, it worked too good.
and then the Fed said,
Don't worry, everybody, we got this.
it's like they ripped the suit off and there is the Superman, but it just says FED. That's right. We got this, guys.
Here's what we're going to do. We're not going to think that inflation is transitory. We're not going to get this wrong this time. What we're going to do is raise interest rates 7 times this year alone. And then we're going to start to unwind our $9 trillion balance sheet. We're going to sell off all those bonds that we bought. And by doing that, we're just going to suck all that money we printed back out.
It's kind of like this.
Oh, you need some money? Oh, here you go. Give me that back.
Yep. And you don't even see it happening. It happens completely below your conscious level of awareness. You didn't even know this was happening. Oh, but you soon will. Actually, there's no soon about it. It's right now. Matter of fact, the time is right now. Because yes, I know they changed the definition of what a recession is. Well, that's what you do when you're trying to win an election. You don't want people to think that you're in a recession on your clock, do you? Because my gosh, well, it's on my clock that the recession started. That's not good for votes.
Excuse me, Freudian slip.
So here, why don't we just do this?
Hey, you and you, how about we just change the definition of what a recession is? That's right, it's no longer going to be 2 consecutive quarters of declining GDP. Yeah, what do you think is best? You think that'll get us to the election? You think we'll be okay? Cool, we're just going to do that.
Yeah, so they just tell you whatever you want. And the funniest thing is, like, I know you're laughing, because deep down inside, I'm literally screaming right now. This is so funny. But some of you are actually like believing this shit. And that's the scariest thing. Like, how can't you see what's going on? Oh, unemployment numbers. I heard this the other day. One of my haters, and I got lots of haters, and well, hey, haters become your lovers too, but one of my haters came on and they said,
This administration is doing a great job. We have the lowest unemployment in history.
yeah. They shut the country down, actually the world shut down, so nobody was really doing much of anything. So unemployment numbers went really high. So then all of a sudden when everything opened back up, everybody wanted to go out there and do things. They wanted to travel, they wanted to get hotel rooms, rent cars, fly, everything else. And they had the money to do it. Why? Because, well, when you're locked up for better part of a year and a half, I want to say it was, right? Is that about what we were? About a year and a half? Then people rush out and they want to spend money. And when they spend all of that money, it gets things going pretty quick. And when things get going pretty quick in the economy, people need to hire. So they needed to hire a lot of people. But people didn't want to work. Now all of a sudden, most of those people went back to work. So of course you have low unemployment numbers. It's not like they did some great thing. They just waved their wand and said, shut down now, open up now. That's it. So that's not really a compliment, but let's just talk about that for 1 second, because this is really important. Matter of fact, it's so important because Bank of England has said that they are already in a recession. So this is the Bank of England. And you're like, I don't care, I live in the US. The world economy nowadays. Bank of England stated they are in a recession over there. So we're not, just simply because they changed the rules of what a recession is. Folks, you're in a recession right now. This is the early stage of a recession. So what comes next? This is kind of fun to learn about because this is not complicated. So if you really study inflationary periods, it's everything that's been happening. So you just remember everything that just happened. They print a bunch of money, people spend a bunch of money, and that because they printed money, your dollars are worth less. So it takes more dollars to buy. So that's inflation, but you already knew that. But you really have to look at what is stagflation or deflation to know what's next. So if we were to check all the boxes, and I did another video here, so again, if you're subscribed to this channel, you would have already known what inflation, deflation, and stagflation is. But if you don't, just click the subscribe button and go back and watch one, okay? Here's the deal. The only reason we have not entered deflation, and you know what that means, right? It just means that everything deflates, like pop a balloon. Start letting the air out of a balloon. That sound? Okay, that's a deflation, and eventually the balloon's all out of air. Well, the only reason we're not there is because of one thing, and this is what my haters always call out.
Unemployment numbers are good.
Well, unemployment numbers are good right now because people are still buying things. But if the Fed comes out and slays the dragon that they created, stab right to the heart, by raising interest rates and unwinding the balance sheet, pretty soon companies aren't gonna need all those folks because things are already slowing down. Have you seen on the news how Amazon is actually closing facilities? Amazon. That's right, the place we buy all of our stuff. Have you heard about the big FANG stocks like Facebook and Apple and Google and all the other ones? Have you heard that they've like frozen new hiring? Or even some of them have even gone in and like cut their executive staffs. They've begun the process of getting rid of people. You see, when you start looking at unemployment, it always starts at the top and then it trickles down. Now, yes, I know if you went to the bar, it seems like they just can't get enough people. If you went to Subway or Jimmy John's or any place where you eat food, there's signs everywhere. I just saw a sign at a sub shop when I was traveling back from Michigan. It said, hiring now. It had the hourly rate, I think it was $17 an hour, and all the food you can eat. I'm like, shit, sign me up. I'm pretty hungry right now. But what happens when people lose their jobs? Because this is what's next. Once we start losing unemployment, and we already have started to lose unemployment. You see the last report that came out? Yeah, it's going the right way for deflation and for the thing that we're supposedly not in a recession. And that is, once people start realizing that we're in a recession and things start slowing down, which they already are, people will start losing their jobs. Companies right now are not hiring as much, but pretty soon they'll start letting people go or laying people off, and then pretty soon that will happen faster and faster and faster. We will lose the last leg of this three-legged stool, and that is unemployment. And once that's gone, folks, it's all over. So, look at your life right now. Could you afford to live the lifestyle you're living if you didn't have your job? The answer is probably no. And if the answer is yes, then you did a really good job buying assets that produce an income during this last downfall or whatever you did. You did a good job. So I'm just going to clap for you. Let's talk about one other thing. How about treasury bonds? Now, you've heard me talk about these before. Treasury bonds, guaranteed by the full faith and credit of the U.S. government. That's right. It's where all my money is sitting. I'm not making a suggestion, a recommendation. I'm not telling you you should buy them. Full disclosure and disclaimer and all that good stuff. This is just what I buy, because I understand how they work. You see, treasury bonds go down when interest rates go up. It's like this, right? So this line right here going down is the treasury bond prices, because this line here is the Fed raising interest rates up. So if one's going up, the other has to go down. And you know what that spells to me? Opportunity. I'll do that quick. Opportunity. Because Warren Buffett said it best. He said, the way to make money in the markets is first you buy low. He didn't say the way to make money in the markets is to do what most people are doing, buy high. He said the way to make money in the markets is to buy low. So I know for a fact that as interest rates go up, treasury bonds go down. I'm buying them. Sign me up. Here's my money. Give me my bond. Because I know the government is going to pay interest on it, and I know the government's going to pay someday on that because they've never defaulted once. But then here's what I also know. I know that once that third leg of this three-legged stool goes, unemployment numbers, once we lose those, now all of a sudden what we're going to lose is the whole market, the whole economy. And eventually the Fed's going to slay the dragon, get inflation down to their target 2 or 3%. Long way to go from 8.3, but they're going to get there. And when they do, they will have managed to completely destroy the stock market. And we will be deep into a recession, maybe even the next Great Depression. So then comes the next thing. What else do I know? Well, look what's happening right now. There's a lot of fear in the markets. There's a lot of carnage going on in the markets, and treasury bonds have gone up. The 2-year bond, let me just look, has gone up to 4.3%. And you should also, while you're at it, look at the inverted yield curve and the meaning of what that is, because that will tell you that we're already in a recession. But so they're already going up. But here's the second thing that's going to happen. When we move the other direction, when everything continues to go down, 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 here's what the government and the Fed will decide to do. They will decide not to raise interest rates anymore, but because now they've slayed the dragon and brought everything down, now we're going to drop interest rates and make things cheap again. It's a funny game they play, it really is. It's like the silliest game you've ever seen. I call it Groundhog Day because every day you wake up, it's the same shit that's happening the day before and the day before that and the day before. So remember that little X that I just drew? Interest rates were going up for the price of the bonds to go down, so making a really good buying opportunity. Now let's flip that. Now interest rates, we're talking a year or so in the future, now interest rates are going down. What do you think happens to the price of my bonds? Just try to guess. Because if they were going down before when rates were going up, but now rates are going down. What do you think happens to the price of my bonds? That's right, they go up. Every financial advisor should know this because we all had to learn this when we got our Series 7. But financial advisors probably won't tell you that this is what you should be doing because it's boring. It doesn't pay a good interest rate.
Why would you buy a treasury bond that pays 4.3% when inflation's 8.3?
Slap them twice and then maybe just, like the curly thing. You want to make money. Awesome. I got a great way for you to make money in any market environment. Here's all you got to do. Look at your checking account, okay? Pull up your checking account, open the checkbook, and here's all I want you to look at. Where does all your money go every month? Well, and you think about it and you look, all right, Visa and Amex and Discover and Amazon card and this and credit cards and line of credit and car payment and all. Okay, great. So what I want you to do is instead of taking your money and investing it or putting it in the 401k and doing all that silly stuff that you've been lied to that you should do, why don't we just focus on paying our debts off? Okay? So start with the lowest balance to the highest balance. Pay the lowest credit card balance off, or whatever debt you have that's the lowest. Let's say it's $1,500. Pay that off. But don't stop there. Let's just say that debt, that $1,500 was a credit card that you were paying 18% interest, let's just make up. Okay, so once you pay that credit card off, now let's just assume you were paying $50 a month to that credit card. Now, once you're done paying the credit card off, you no longer need to pay them $50. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to go down to your bank account and I want you to open a new bank account. That's right, just another savings or checking account. I don't care what it is. Now, what I want you to do, every time you pay off one of those credit cards or one of those debts, whatever you use to pay that debt, I want you to set up a transfer or a bill payment. And I want you to have that money go into that newly created bank account that you just did. You know what I just showed you how to do? Make a guaranteed return on your money. Then, you know what I showed you how to do? Pay off all your debts, but recycle and recapture all the money you were giving away. So now effectively, if that credit card was 18%, what do you think the return is to you in that segregated account? The same you used to give away, it's 18%. So count up all the money that you give away. Put them from lowest balance to highest balance and start paying them off one by one. If you can't pay it off, chunk it down. And every time you chunk it down, I want you to pay attention to how much was your minimum payment last month and how much is it now with the new balance that you paid down to. That's right, that's the amount you're gonna recapture into that newly created bank account that you just did. And then if you watch one of my other videos, which I'll put up in a second, you can then see how to take that money from that newly created bank account and put it somewhere where it's gonna earn a guaranteed interest rate and uninterrupted compound interest. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. You wanna build wealth? The fastest and most efficient way to build wealth is through your own debts and expenses. So take back the money that you're giving away to everybody else. Folks, if you liked this video, then you're going to want to check out this one right here. This video will show you exactly how to recycle and recapture all the money you're giving away. And while you're at it, why don't you click right below and click the subscribe button and then also the alerts button up top, because hey, if you like this, you should probably watch all of these. I'm Chris Naugle. This is What Now? What's next? What's your next move?